Tonight, see what truly exists inside the world of the paranormal. Inside. Join the discussion and review some of the best paranormal evidence captures from a wide variety of experienced and up-and-coming investigators. See and hear what they capture, where they captured it, and how they captured it. Right now on Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Something Evidence, Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence. Damn. Damn, y'all. I'm looking at it on the screen.
Good night. It's been a great show.
That's where you jumped the shark right there.
Wow.
That's
Entity
right.
Voices Paranormal Evidence.
There you go.
I'm not even going to say who I am because I might screw it up. Good Lord, have mercy.
This is Chris, and I'm Audra.
I'm Tony.
I'm Lourdes.
I'm heavily amused.
I apparently went off the short bus before it stopped.
Christoph. It's okay, Christoph.
Good Lord.
Oh, my goodness.
This is what happens when you get into your 50s, y'all. About halfway through a sentence, everything stops.
This is true.
My goodness. Didn't mean to throw that.
Hey, Melissa.
Hello.
Hello, Jenny.
Our fantastic audience already showing up. Courtney Peters.
Scott and Ronald from ERRT was in the group before the show even kicked off, man.
Hey, Rock.
Yeah.
Haiti.
Katie from Unseen Paranormal. She's relaunching stuff between Florida and New Jersey. And I know when she's doing something, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's awesome.
that'd be
Yeah,
great.
very cool.
All right, so what'd you guys do this last week? Who goes first?
Us?
Well, whoever. Tony, you want to go first?
Sure. I continued working on the first 3 minutes of a project we're working on. And although that doesn't sound like much, it's a lot more work than you think. But that's what I did.
Well, then for us, I'll comment first because I saw what he worked on said project. And if you think his talents are limited to radio stuff and building things, you're wrong. It's fantastic. He does great work on the production side. And when people ask him to produce shows, believe me, it's for a reason.
Thank you.
We went down, and this is another example where we get to call out another group of people. Transcend Paranormal, headed up by Steve Dills, did the Hanover Tavern Paracon in Hanover, Virginia. And it was fantastic. They treated everybody great. Everybody that they had in attendance were like top-notch, classy people who did great stuff. We got to set up in the third longest continually operating courthouse in the country.
That was pretty cool.
We had the DRV set up on the judge's table in the front of the room with this huge cavernous room. We actually had to take the karaoke speaker with the microphones we used when we lecture and put them on top of the sound bar and then put that speaker for the machine in the back of the room to have the sound coming from two directions because it was getting lost.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was good. It was good.
It was good. Yep. And we got to hang out with of course, Mr. Steve Dills, Natalie Jones of Paraflix, who was awesome, Melody Knapp, who was awesome, Ray Savino from Flumeri. I don't know how to say
Flumeri.
it. I'm in the tomato thing with this stuff. I don't know. So
Flumeri.
I said Savino right, and that's what counts.
Rachel Bradley. We're going to be missing. Sorry if we miss anybody.
Yeah, everybody we hung out with was, Chris, they were awesome.
They were all good, great people, and we had fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, it looked like you had a really good time.
So
That's
cool.
awesome.
And how about you folks?
We went up. We did a day date up in Ashboro, and it's
Bruh.
Ashboro. That's how it's pronounced here. And it happens twofold because we like going to the downtown areas of the older towns because we get to go into the older buildings.
Mhm.
And we get to have the day date, which is fun. Audra gets to go antiquing, which
Shopping,
she
which is
loves
fun.
and she enjoys. And I get to go through the old late 1800, early 1900 buildings in antique stores. And you know how we pick up the energy around us, and it's like, which section's going to make Chris dizzy as he walks through this time?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also a little paranormal research because it gets us a little bit in tune with each other. And then it also gives us opportunities to find buildings that we can maybe talk to the owners and see if we can investigate. So
Lots of fun.
Very cool.
cool. And then we visited on our way out of town.
Cool.
Ashboro has one of the oldest still standing covered bridges that was built in 1911. They used to run the wagons and horses across before cars. Still standing right outside of Ashboro. So we went to visit that. That was pretty cool.
That's cool.
That's cool.
That is cool. Actually, you reminded me of something too. We also forgot to mention our dear friends Pam and Steve Barry
Oh yeah, they came down to.
from the Haunted Hoover House. They were there also. And
They were vendors, and Pam was part of the panel that they had there.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. It was nice seeing them too. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's fun. when
That's
you come
awesome.
Ready?
Then I did review till 1 a.m.
Woohoo! A part of it. Felt little cat nap in there. But
Yeah, I fell asleep at the.
at the end.
I fell asleep. Anybody that hasn't done paranormal review, Chris literally fell asleep at his desk listening. I started listening, so I got through the entire basement at the Trivic Clinic, and that we did back in November. And I started the second floor review of my audio, and actually fell asleep sitting right here.
Wow.
Don't feel bad. I've done that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
So basically, what Audra's saying is Audra doesn't help.
Unless I'm like, what? What was that? Wait, and
Yeah.
then we'll argue about it, of course.
Yeah.
That sounds so familiar. I'm like, Cherie,
Yeah.
did you review? She's like, no. Did I not go? I helped. Okay.
Did I not go?
I feel like I'm a traitor because I help.
How dare you do that to other women, Lourdes?
but it does come to a point. It's like 1:30 in the morning, and I'm like, all right, now I'm going to bed. And
Yeah.
he'll keep going.
She bails at some point.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah. I do.
But she helps too, because as you guys know, she has the bionic ear.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, hold on,
That's
there was an entire phrase there. I missed a phrase? What?
Audra does the same thing. She's all the way across the house in the spare bedroom ironing. And I'm sitting here and she goes, "Oh my God, did you hear that?" And I'm like, "The speaker's this big right in front of me." "Yes, I heard it."
It's the same thing. I'm like in the bathroom, the door closed. I'm like, did you hear that?
It's sad to say, sometimes my answer is no.
Yeah. It's no.
Right?
Did I hear what?
Yeah. Sometimes I did not.
The best part is when she argues from the other room what it's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're around 3/4 and 1,500 feet away. How in the hell do you know what it just said?
But you know that sometimes if you're in a different room, it does sound either, I don't say
Clearer.
clear, but it's different. So you get a
Okay, now
different
that's
perception.
hilarious because Cherie does that to me all the time. I'll be sitting right here. She'll be 40 feet away. She'll be like, "Did you hear that? Did you hear that?" I'm like, "No, that's not what I heard." She's like, "Come over here and listen." So then I gotta back it up, give it enough lead time for me to go all the way in the other room, and I'm like, "No."
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's
It's
funny.
like setting a timer on the camera.
Hey, Steve.
Okay.
Steve.
Glad you're doing well, Steve.
Yes.
Glad you're doing
Yeah.
well.
Very
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
Please tell us
So-
you're not doing that from the hospital bed. Watching EVPE.
See,
No,
it's windy. Maybe it's clear further away. I agree.
Sometimes
Yeah,
it
I mean,
is,
it can be.
depending on how
It can be.
traveling. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, do you guys want to hear some of the stuff we're talking about?
Nah, we'll just talk.
Who wants to go first? We got a lot to show you guys
Me.
tonight.
Do we?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we do.
We'll keep
So
it to a
let's-
minimum.
Minimum.
I know.
Oh no, we'll go through it.
Yeah, I'm partly hooked on phonics. I'm sorry.
All right, we'll start with Tony. Tony, we're going to start with.
Actually, why don't you two go, because 3 of mine are linked together.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
So you want us to go through all of ours first, then all of yours, and then all of Ron and Lourdes's first? Last time we mixed
However you want to do it, doesn't matter. Doesn't
I like
matter
when
at all. All good stuff.
Yeah, I like when you bounce around, but if he has 3 that need to go together, then those 3 go together.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We'll start with one from ours, and then we'll go to Ron and Lourdes, and then we'll go through Tony's 3 that are linked.
All right. Sounds good.
Really make it confusing on Chris as he goes through.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay. So all of these were caught from our investigation up at the Trivett Clinic in northern North Carolina. Say that 3 times fast. I couldn't say the name of the damn show I've been on for 3 years. So all of these were caught in the basement on the recorder. So the Trivett Clinic, if anybody that wasn't paying attention, the last EVP show we had, it's an old hospital that was way out in the middle of the woods up in the northern part of North Carolina. And we did an investigation there, and it's supposed to contain up to 70 spirits. And after just reviewing the basement, I'm beginning to believe that number might be pretty accurate. These are just the class A's. I might have enhanced just a little bit just so you guys could hear them on here with StreamYard. But there were some class B's that when I have free time, I'll go through and see if I can dig up what they're saying. But this was just the 5 I have tonight are just the 5 best that I caught in the basement. And only one of them are we down there in the basement. And I had an EVP recorder. I had a digital recorder in the basement. And then we had one on the first floor. And then we had one on the second floor. So sometimes you can hear us walking in some of these clips on the floor above, but there's some of these, we're either on the second floor or we're outside where you can't hear us.
Oh,
but
awesome.
This one here is caught in the basement and we were nowhere near it. So here we go.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, you can hear us. We're up on the second floor, I think. Second or third floor. Or no, first or second floor.
Yeah.
Play it one more time.
All right.
Yes, please.
Now you can hear it.
Yep.
Yeah, that help especially that
Yeah.
the H and the P at the end, real clear.
Yeah.
Soft,
And
but real
that
clear.
that's real soft, but that one I just amplified just a little bit right where I caught it. So
See, Courtney's reaction. Courtney's reaction is what an enthusiast with passion does, no matter how many EVPs they've heard, because they're all fantastic.
They are. It's amazing when you can capture them.
well,
Or
and
dare I say, all good.
Oh, dude.
well, wait, Courtney, because they get louder and more towards the class A side the further into these 5 I get. I put them in loudness order.
Oh, wow.
All right, Ron, which one do you want to start with? Is there a specific one?
Yeah. So I actually have 2 that would go together. The 2 that have to do with my mom. One of which was captured within the last week and a half. So what else?
We can do those 2 first, and then go to Tony's 3.
That would be okay. What were the?
He doesn't remember.
I don't remember the ones I sent you now because I did it last night.
Lucy and Florence. It's your son.
Those are the 2 that go together at the end. Those the only ones you got?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I've
So
got.
maybe
I don't know where yours begins and Tony's ends. I've got the soiree.
At Mama.
Do the soiree.
Okay, yours ends at Mama. So I've got Beatrice Shanley, the soiree, and then I've got 2 that were MOV files that I couldn't convert to MP4 that we'll have to share screen for, but those aren't titled. It just says video output.
For mine?
Yes.
Huh. Okay. So do the soiree. That was. Say again.
They both contain Rathman's name.
Oh, yes, they do.
Yes. Tastes like this.
Do the soiree.
You do the soiree one. That's a good one to start off with.
Okay, let me. Sorry, guys. This is the hard fart. This is the hard fart.
He's on a roll today.
He is.
I am horrible tonight. That's all. We were talking last night, and Audra was talking about global warming, and she said warble gloaming. She's still laughing.
It sounds funny.
Okay, here we go. Soiree. Here we go.
How many puddings have I eaten? 14. A lot. You had a few. Oh, I thought I heard you had too many. I was bragging. I should stop.
That's so cool.
That's so fun.
Wow. Too many, Lourdes. Too many.
I did have too many.
Too many puddings.
I did.
It just amazes me though with DRV, the full sentence communication, whether they are aware that they're being heard or not. You know,
Right.
it's like they're talking out loud, or maybe they're not even talking. Maybe they're just thinking, and that energy comes through the direct radio voice. But that was awesome because it's just like thoughts coming through the machine, like what they're thinking as they're looking at what you guys are doing, and you know, that they notice the pumpkin in front, they notice somebody having multiple puddings. You know, it's really cool. That's really cool.
No, I appreciate that. And actually, the point you brought up that was really cool is that sometimes when we make contact, we always, I think, go in with the presupposition that they're talking to us, and a lot of times they may not be. And I think you pointed out a great example with that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know where we came in the conversation or who they were talking to, or I mean, there's so many things that I remember even back in the EVPE time or the Spirit Box time going, okay, what did they mean to me by that? Well, like you said, maybe they weren't talking to me.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were, and I just didn't want to admit it. But either way.
Right.
What's amazing, if you guys pay attention to what Tony and Cherie present, what Ron and Lourdes present, sometimes they're in a room full of people doing the DRV, and it almost sounds like there's another room full of people that's listening and responding, but they don't realize that there's another room full of people listening. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Just amazing stuff. Just amazing.
It is.
Yeah, that was a great night at that place too. A lot of the people who attended got responses in real time. It was really cool. We're looking forward to going back and doing another one there.
That's cool. All right, Tony, which one of you? How you doing?
You doing?
Everybody, same thing.
All right. So I did not have the opportunity to run DRV over the weekend, so I had to back up like years to find stuff that we haven't shown. And I might have shown the first one that I'm going to show, but there's two pieces attached to it. So it's kind of a cool story. But the one you're going to play first, Chris, is called, it's just called This Is Cool. But don't play it yet. Let me tell the story. This was probably 4 years ago, and we were doing we got called to a private home investigation. And we went to investigate. We figured out there was something there. And the woman who lived there went out and bought a little DVR set in home. So, I mean, it wasn't anything fancy. It was just enough to capture anything that was moving and sound. And so I think it was either just before or just after we investigated. I think it was just before. She sends me this video and says, "What is this?" And you can hear her asking all these questions like, "What's your name? What do you want? What are you doing here?" But you couldn't hear the responses. They were all garbled. It just sounded like you could kind of tell it was a voice. But then I fluctuated the frequencies, the speed, everything else in it, so you could actually hear now what the spirit was saying, but you can no longer hear the questions that she's asking. But start with that, and then I'll tell the rest of the story. But this is really kind of cool.
Cool. All right, here we go.
Huh?
Wow. Okay. So like I said, I had to adjust the frequencies like crazy, the speed and everything in between to make some sensibility, because it was so, I mean, you could kind of tell it was a voice, but I wasn't even sure. That was as good as I could get it. Well, anyway, we played that back for her, and I said, some of them like the I Dare and the Once You Fall Asleep, I said, there's something here. that wasn't me. Obviously, it was hanging around her.
Yeah.
He had to use the word hanging.
Magic Mike.
I said, we went and we investigated, I think 3 or 4 times, and she definitely had something there. And she asked us to try and remove it, which at that time, we didn't even know Joe at that time. So we tried, and apparently it worked. But the next one that you're going to play is after we did what we did. Cherie had a recorder on the bed, and she let it continue to run. She didn't shut it off. When we were wrapping up, and I was telling her, your house should be clean now. You should be fine. Shouldn't have this problem anymore. What you're about to play is the message that was left on Cherie's recorder while I'm telling her everything should be fine now. You should be in good shape, and you'll hear what they say to me.
Is that the one that starts with F?
Yep.
Okay. Here we go.
And they shouldn't be able to come back in as the entryways are now blocked.
So that was left.
Not happy.
No.
No, they were not happy at all. But now the next one you're going to play, this was 2 years later. 2 years later. This house was in Phoenix. The person who said, I'm hearing voices. Can you listen? Can you tell me if these are voices? Completely different state, unrelated completely. No connection that I was aware of, except that the connection was me. So now this next one you're going to hear 2 years later from a completely different state, from a completely different case. So go ahead and play that one.
And this is the Ann Weir.
That is the, yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Here we go.
Wow.
2 years later.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Phrases with "get out" is
Now you know they hold grudges.
Very, very much so. Very much so.
You made an
But-
impression, that's for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't believe it. Like I said, that was probably a year or two ago that happened. But I just ran across it when I was going through things to select. And I thought, well, it shows that, just because if they do leave, they don't leave. I mean, they're still very much around. And yeah, like you said, they don't forget, because what they said to me 2 years prior, he repeated 2 years later.
Wow.
And
And you couldn't get through an EVP episode without an F-bomb. Put it in there.
Yeah,
right.
that's cool though.
Yeah, that's cool.
That speaks to the 2 years later. We talk all the time about linear time and everything being in a state of probability and not having linear time where they are. So that could have been 2 cups of coffee later for them. They're like, is that Rathman guy still working? Throw him an F-bomb from me.
Yeah, give him another F-bomb. Well, we've talked about this numerous times. It shows a consciousness, right? So
Right.
They remember your face. They identify who you are. They give you an intelligent response and say, hey, we told you F you once. Here you go again.
Yeah.
All right.
That's really
So
cool.
it was really cool. So the next one we got is from Audra and I again. This is at the Trivia Clinic in the basement. And what's amazing about this one is this one's in the basement. You can hear us on the first floor. And we had just come back in from outside on the first floor. So that's what's intriguing about this one. All right, here we go.
Wow.
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah,
It was a little low.
I heard
You
it.
should play it again.
That was a Class A when I put it in StreamYard.
I'm like, I didn't even hear it.
All right, let's play it
Yeah.
again. Turn up your volume.
It's low.
Yeah.
It is. It's not that low on mine.
But there's
But you can hear it. It's just very low.
there's your timing and relevance that we talk about always with ITC stuff, but completely applies to any audible evidence. That was spot on. You just came back in.
Yep. Well, and you can hear us talking up on the first floor.
Mhm.
Of course, we're not moving around because the house was built in 1908, 1910.
Yeah.
So the first floor is just, is just a hardwood flooring with the hardwood flooring on top of it. And then the trusses going back and forth, the floor joists going back and forth. So when we're walking around on the first floor, you can hear us walking around on the recorder. So we were standing still and just come in the front door. And I think we were talking about the different groups. There's a table.
Yeah, the table.
There's a table as you come in the front door, and there's different groups that have left their cards that have investigated it. And we were standing at that table right next to the door that we had just closed. And apparently the guy downstairs wanted us to lock it. So.
Funny.
All right, Ron and Lourdes, which one do you want next? Do you want the 2 or do you have others first? You want to save those for last?
From the phone. I want to save the last ones of ours. I want to do the 2 that have to do with mom, and then the Virginia one that we just sent you from this past weekend, because it's pretty cool. You want to do the Beatrice one or the 2 from the phone that mentioned the guy, the handsome guy with the hat? Or they could be either one of them. Let them fight it out.
I would say do the one with the handsome guy.
All right. So yeah, if you could do a share screen for them. I thought they were MP4, so my apologies for that. I know the drill. I just failed you.
You're good.
So do the share screen, and then do those 2 back to back. They're both short. They're both direct radio voices. I record on digital recorders, and a lot of times I'll record on the recorder app on my phone. So like if I want to hear something I think that was at a certain point, I can mark it, and then I can go back and find it quicker on the phone just to play it back, and then I'll do analysis on the software on the computer afterwards, of course, if necessary. Both of these mention, say it with me, Tony Rathman.
Oh, I think you was going to go,
I'm Rathman.
yeah, that's what I thought you were going to do.
I'm Rathman.
I'm Rathman. All right, here we go. Here's the first one.
Yeah, do that one first. Can you say Tony Rathman before I take a break?
Whoa, I heard it.
That was as clear as I've ever heard it. Thank you.
Wow.
That was very clear.
That was brilliant.
Wow.
Actually, that's one of the ones I heard it from the other room. I was doing something. I was like, I heard that.
That's funny.
That was really clear.
Yeah, it was.
Now there's still a debate on whether the spirit world knowing your name as well as Tony's, if it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. We don't know. All right, here's the second one.
They thanked Tony at the end of it too.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you for letting us say your name again.
All right, here we go for the second one.
Number 2. Can't listen to others?
Wow.
Wow.
And I chose to spell profit as in prophecy, not as in money, but it could be the other one.
I like the pile of.
You like that? There's not enough emojis in the paranormal field.
Yes,
We need more emojis.
There you go. That's your next project, Ron. Paranormal emojis.
Paranormal emojis.
Yeah. I know.
Yes. There's a little bit of both tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, which one do you want to know?
Let me take a look. I can't remember what else I sent. Oh, you know what? Play the one. Let's see. Play the one. This one's real quick, 21 seconds. Play the one titled Mama. This was years and years ago. We were investigating at the La Posada Hotel, and they have these underground tunnels in the basement that used to connect the town, and you could go from the hotel to the bar to wherever with underground. Most of them are blocked off now, but there's enough of them remaining. So Cherie and I got access to it. We're allowed in. And there's this one tunnel that we were going to go down, and Cherie stopped, but she hadn't heard what showed up on the recorder until we played it after. But that's what you're going to hear.
All right, here we go. Come here, man.
Well, you know, that's not only kind of funny, but it's also intelligent because she was a mother. She's got kids. how did they know that? But and just crazy to have that come out of nowhere like that.
Yeah.
That is. That was kind of naughty too. I was like, "Come here, mama."
Mamas. That's funny.
Ron, do you know you're muted?
Yeah, I did it on purpose because our sound sounded like
okay.
it was skipping real fast and all garbled and synthetic sounding. Whatever, it was really weird for a minute. I don't know why.
Oh, like that weird techno voice we get sometimes.
Yeah, it was odd. I don't know why we were getting it, but I muted it just so we could talk about it.
Oh, okay.
It's all fixed now.
Seems like it's better. I guess if we're back to us,
Beatrice.
I guess get Beatrice Shanley out of the way. Then we'll get into the stuff that was probably the stuff we're most excited about.
All right.
This one is from the Shanley Hotel, and Kelly, the owner, asks a lot of times for the family or the people who used to live or work there when it was a bordello or whatever. And Beatrice was the matriarch of the home for I guess a number of years, and so she asked for her during a DRV thing, and she got it.
All right. Here you go.
I heard Shanley before, very clearly. It was a woman.
My name is Tracy. Can you tell me your name? My name is Tracy. Can you tell me your name?
Very clear.
Wow, that was cool. You know where you are.
They ask every so often. Fine, you know where you are. You know why he's saying that, right? We had a phone call with Anthony, and we were talking and laughing about that. Anthony's podcast, they had a technical problem. He couldn't see his camera, but the way he said it sounded like he was having like a mental break and he didn't know where he was. And
right.
we were laughing to sleep that night, and then we called him, and it was just we all make fun of each other. It was funny.
Yeah.
He's got the best sense of humor in the business, no doubt.
Yeah, we actually talked to him on Saturday about his mini stroke on air.
Yeah. You were laughing. I was panicking. I'm like, what's going on?
That's what I said too. I'm like, has anyone spoken to him since then? I'm like, did he come back on the show? And
I don't know where I'm at.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know where I am.
He goes, I don't know where I am. That's exactly how he said it. But we know him so well. I was like, I bet you it's because he can't see himself. He lost the screen. Right. I knew it right away, but it was just the way he said it.
Well, what was ironic is Maureen reacted to it, and she was asking him questions, and he was responding
at that
I
same
know.
but he couldn't hear her. But it was perfect timing. It was like, oh wow,
Oh, it was so funny.
Yeah, it was really funny.
hold on.
Well, now that we know he's okay, it was awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Very valid point. All
All
right,
right, what do we have left?
we have these three here.
Okay.
All right, so this next one, Audra, Carrie, and I are actually in the basement, and you will hear, and this one's a pretty cool one because you will hear Audra ask a question, you will hear something respond, and this was pretty cool because you'll hear me respond that I heard it, where it wasn't audible at the time. So this kind of the sensitivity that I talk about, where I can pick stuff up sometimes where other people can't, where Audra and Carrie don't react at all, but you hear me say, I heard something. So here we go.
Working tonight, or are you being taken care of?
I think it's the pain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You heard something in real time when that happened?
I heard it in real time.
Wow.
So let me ask you, when you heard
awesome.
it, did you hear it? Did you hear it in the distance, or did you hear it like whispering right in your ear?
Good question.
No, I heard it in the distance, like it was over by Audra. So the basement is like the house is your normal shotgun style house. As you come in, and there's a main hallway, and then there's rooms on each side, and the upstairs is the same way. It's a main hallway with rooms on each side, and we were sitting in the basement. The basement is one big open area that used to be divided, but they tore down a bunch of walls. And Carrie's sitting over here, Audra's sitting over here, and I'm sitting way back in the corner because I was chasing a shadow figure that I saw. And that's where I just sat down. And the recorder is in between Audra and Carrie, and it was picked up and whispering next to the recorder, but I was halfway across the room.
Wow. The audience is asking if you can play it one more time.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, me too.
All right, here we go.
Working tonight, or are you being taken care of?
I think it's the end.
Yeah, hell yeah. I hear that.
That one's pretty cool. The next two we have are undoubtable. Go ahead, Ron.
No, that's very cool. I mean, that's you guys. It's funny because you always compliment and praise the Tony and Cherie and Lourdes and I with the quality and sanity of the DRV stuff we get, but you guys are rocking it with the EVPs. Like we haven't gotten EVPs that good in a while. You seem to consistently pull those.
Sorry, I keep muting my mic. This is like the 12th F-16 that's gone over the house, and I know if I leave my mic on, it's just all you can hear is. So I have to mute it.
How's that go, Tony? Do it again.
That sounds like something else.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get a video of Tony going like this, and then we have now recorded that live.
Should have known better.
You should have, yes.
This will be edited for humor later.
Electronic vomit phenomenon that looks good. Still EVP.
All right, Tony. Untitled or Not the Baby?
Let's play Not the Baby. This is one I think I've played before, but not sure here. So, new audience. This was in the Diplomat Hotel in Baguio City, Philippines. And I had Cherie do a little test because we could hear them speaking with our own ears. I asked her to ask a set of questions. I think she asked like 4 or 5 questions. You can hear the response because you're obviously listening to the recording of it, but we could hear this with our own ears when they were replying. So go ahead and play that clip.
All right, here we go.
Do you miss your family? Do you need help? What happened to you? Are you trapped here in this building?
Maybe. Hear it?
That's so cool.
Yeah, just
That's
wild.
EVP Central right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's so much going on in the very beginning before the questions were even asked. Just
you could
that,
hear all the
oh
voices,
my
yeah.
gosh, it's actually creepy.
Yeah, that was the one place after about being in it for about 20 minutes where he said, let's go outside. I've never in 13 years ever heard her say that. But 20 minutes in, she said, can we go outside, please? I'm like, it's raining. Why do you want to go outside? She's like, just let's go outside. I'm like, okay. So,
What's amazing is I didn't know I was from the Philippines because that one point said we're all good.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
What I love about that clip is because it's a good example of how they use the environment sometimes for audio, because the rain, it helped to bring out the voices.
Yeah, it created a white noise background to enhance their vocals, which is probably why we could hear them speak with our own ears.
Right.
Yeah, and captured a lot of them too. And we find this with direct radio, right? That we get a lot of times like these full length conversations and dialogues and stuff. There's a lot of vocal continuance that happens, and that she nailed it. That's exactly what I think is happening there. Is that there was so much dialogue happening around you, and the environment made it audible and detectable. Because that's a lot on an EVP front. That's a lot.
It's probably the most we've ever captured from a single location, and there's other stuff too. That was one tiny little clip of the entire night we spent there. But I agree with you for that reason. The water definitely created that background white noise effect.
Yeah, that's awesome.
When Tony and Cherie first got back from the Philippines, we still lived in Phoenix, and Tony was doing a review, and he sent me this half-hour long video and said, "Dude, you got to watch this." And for a half hour, I'm going, "Are you flipping kidding me? Are you flipping kidding me? Are you?" And Audra's like, "I got to leave the room. This is creepy. I got to leave the room."
Yeah, it hurt so bad.
Yeah,
it was insane. All right, so Ron, you want to do the two?
You want to do the two mom ones and do the Virginia one for last? You want to do the Virginia one first?
No, let's do the two mom ones.
Two moms. All right.
Yeah.
So the first one, I've shown this one before a while ago, but I wanted to show it again because this one was not only profound for me because it was, I believe, my mother and my grandmother, whose name was Lucy. But this one was the one that was the impetus for me to decide to try to figure out a way to slow down the live white noise in real time because I missed all of it. And then this is the one that you guys all chuckled because I sound drunk.
I love this one.
I do, and I wasn't. But this was an eye opener. I was like, the vocals came in completely enunciated, clearly, emphasized, clearly. And by trade, I've said this a bunch of times, she's a court reporter. She hears different cadences, speeds, people talking over each other. And she said there's no way, right, that someone can speak that fast.
It's so clear. If they would have spoke that fast, it wouldn't be so clear. They would have meshed their words together, slurred, But he sounds drunk.
Yeah.
And the words are very clear, just like this. There's no way.
At that clarity and that speed.
That fast because the only thing he heard was on.
Yeah.
And there's a whole sentence there.
I don't care if it's an auctioneer on cocaine. You can't talk that fast. It's just not possible.
Right.
Not that I know those guys, but
right.
And the first one's
right? Yeah. The first one is DRV Mom and Lucy. That's the first one.
Okay. All right, here we go.
You know who I am? It's turned on. Is my mother gonna be here tonight?
That's incredible. Just incredible.
I know.
I'm over here about to cry, and Audra's laughing because Ron sounds drunk.
Yeah, I do. But that's amazing.
My favorite.
Yeah, that's 50% speed, and they sound completely normal as far as the cadence and speed of speech. But I sound hilariously drunk, and I missed all of that in real time, and that's what made me decide to take the back end process of slowing down audio and trying to figure out how to do it with the only thing we were working with, which was white noise. And we've done it, and Tony's been experimenting with it, and we've been doing it for a little bit of time now, and it has made. I think Tony's got the same outcome. I almost never, sometimes barely, just for if I'm analyzing something between two words that sound really similar, but otherwise I don't have to understand stuff. It's either completely unintelligible or I can get it at the normal speed now. I'm slowing it down ahead of time.
Have you gone back on some of your other ones? And now that you know how to do that, have you gone backwards on some of your older stuff to do that?
I could, but that's essentially what I was doing before. Was I was recording stuff, and then when I went back and reviewed, however old it was, I was slowing it down. With the concept of ITC being dialogue in real time versus record and review, which is EVP, the goal is to try to have contact that's back and forth in the moment. And when that clip was reviewed at 50% slowed down like that, that's when it dawned on me that one of the ways I think we can achieve more back and forth dialogue in real time is to figure out how to slow this down now and not later when the conversation's over and we're just listening to it.
Right. So Ron was able to accomplish that. So now when we run it, we can diminish the live conversation by 50%, yet keep the live conversation going. So that was a huge advancement.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And let me say too, because one of the things that I love about the fact that Tony and Cherie are working with us so closely on this, the innovation, the idea to do that, he's right. I came up with the concept because that clip inspired it. And I looked at different components and different ways to do it. And Tony found the one that works. Tony, if you tell Tony, this is the problem we have, this is a solution we need to find something for, he's got 87 options on the table by lunch.
Yeah, he's really good at that. I found something.
It was your idea. It was a great idea, and it works spectacular because, had he played that clip at full speed, nobody, not any of us probably, or anyone in the audience would have been able to tell you what was said. But when it was slowed to 50%, and yeah, Ron sounds like he's had half a bottle of Jack. It's like if they were talking like we're talking right now. It was completely audible. And so to introduce that into the live communication that we do was a brilliant idea on Ron and Lourdes' part to try to make that happen. And the other good part, and I don't know how the program does this, but you don't ever get the sound, maybe because it's only 50%, but you don't ever get a voice that's I don't ever hear that. I don't know if you guys do. I don't ever hear that. So they just naturally speak much, much faster than what a human voice vocals could do.
I got a question for you. So at normal speed, you were missing the fast speech. Do you think at half speed, you're missing normal speed stuff?
Well, hold on. Go ahead, because one of the things I wanted to kind of put out there, idea-wise, is that one of the possibilities is the speed of how they're speaking. The other possibility is they're speaking the same rate we are, but the data transfer from wherever they're coming from to us is where the acceleration is, not when they're iterating what they're saying, not engendered in when they speak, but when it comes through from where they are to here. That could be the acceleration, and maybe that's how it gets here, because it has to be sped up.
That makes perfect sense, actually.
Well, I was gonna say there's when we slow it down, sometimes we do it like at the 90% or 80%, just in case to not distort any other voices that may be coming in slower. Maybe it's not like Ron says that they're speaking slower or faster, but it may come in slower. So we try to slow it down just enough that it won't distort the other voices that are coming in slower.
Right, she's right, and that was to be fair, that was a concept. If we're going to do this, is there a level of control that we can implement so we don't sacrifice one end of the speed spectrum for the other? And even if we have to lose something, let's mitigate our losses,
right,
and keep it hearing the majority of what's coming through. And what Tony said has been the outcome. We really have not felt like anything came in slowed and slurred.
No.
I have not. I mean, we've been using that for I don't even know how long now, quite a while. But I haven't heard anything coming like that. And I'm also wondering if it's a manipulation that we did electronically to the method, and then maybe they were able to adapt to it and adjust where they match what they're trying to send in to the 50% rate that they know it's being slowed at, because I've never heard anything come through like how you sounded, Ron, when you were talking, because that was slowed 50%. I've never heard anything like that. So I wonder if it's a balance between our manipulation electronically and them maybe making adjustments to so it doesn't come through.
Yeah, because that's a good point. We've never heard voices that sound drunk or anything. We haven't.
Well, just one.
Well, yeah.
Just one. So do you think you guys found a way to maybe, and this is a far-fetched, but just an example. Do you think you guys found a way to electronically control like the wormhole effect?
That's a
where
really
things
good
speed
question.
up as they go through the wormhole?
That's a really good question. Like a deceleration.
Right.
I don't. You know what? I would say maybe based on the fact that the idea when implemented seemed to do what we thought it would do. We're not slowing down a review anymore. We're hearing more stuff in real time, and the stuff we're hearing has more of it's what we think is the original emphasis when it was spoken or thought and said. So I would say that's possible. I don't know what other kind of data we need to aggregate to be able to solidify that theoretically, but
yeah, I would agree. You might want to give your 3-minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
So everybody watching, UNX is going to switch over their audio program in 3 minutes to their next program, but we are going to stay live on Facebook and YouTube. We've got about 3 more clips to show and probably some more conversation to have. So go ahead and stick around with us.
Yeah, don't leave. We got some good stuff still coming.
Good stuff coming on. You know what's really weird? Have you guys ever watched the Netflix special or that Netflix series called Supernatural?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that show.
So we're at season 4, at the end of season 4. And what's really weird about the conversation we're having right now is they're at the point where the angels and the demons are having the war and they're bringing the 2 brothers in to try and help fight it, right? You notice the conversation that happens when the angels speak to the people that they've chosen as prophets or vessels, when they speak through the radio or they speak through them verbally and audibly, it seems very loud, kind of almost
like shattering glass.
Shattering glass, high pitched.
Mm-hmm.
It almost makes you wonder if you guys have broken the concept. Y'all need to check out Supernatural on Netflix because there's a lot of stuff. We swear up and down.
I know. I'm like,
No,
wait, how
seriously.
do they know that? Wait, who does
we
that?
swear up and down that the writers of that show must have been paranormal investigators or done some research because there's a lot of stuff that we use.
That's why that show is good, and that's why I love it. They do their research. They do their research, and they base it on their research, and then they do all the fictional stuff.
Yeah.
But that's why it's very good because there's truth into some of the things that they.
There is. I'm just like, holy smoke!
Yeah, that's where it's a good show. Yeah,
But
they
they
address
address
stuff
like the angel communication, like the episodes that we've recently watched, where they couldn't understand it or hurt their ears because it was coming in so loud and so fast. Till they chose a vessel, then it slowed it down to our speed.
And they talk about the jinn and stuff there on that show.
It's good. It's a good show.
So something that's also fascinating too, which ties in science and physics and stuff, and a lot of the things that we'll talk about on the show, and what you're talking about as far as stuff with angels. It was the 13th century. St. Thomas Aquinas wrote about angels, and a lot of the things he wrote were in league with the way quantum physics describes photons and light today. The makings of light, angels are beings of light, right? Ageless and timeless. A photon like leaves the sun, it doesn't lose any time as it comes to Earth. It elapses no time whatsoever. Both particle and wave traveling with no time loss. So there's a lot of correlation between the 13th century and what St. Thomas Aquinas wrote, and then what now modern day quantum physics describes characteristics of light.
Yeah,
that's true.
Stuff.
And by the way, really quick, for the producers and directors of Supernatural and Netflix, Tony and Cherie are in Arizona. We're in North Carolina. We're in Northern New Jersey. You can reach out to us. We'll send checks. I'm talking more money than checks because that was one hell of a promo we just did for him. So it was. All right. So the next one, Ron, Florence, it's your son. No,
real quick to John Mallory, New Orleans, said he worked on that show for years but never watched it. Well, you did good work, John, because it's a good show.
It's a very good show.
It's
one of my favorites.
Well written, well cast, well acted, well researched. Yep.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah. Chris is like, I need to write this down.
So this one you're going to play next, if I'm not mistaken, was recorded, I think, on the 17th of this month. It's very recent. And we have asked for my mother and grandmother since that one clip. Somewhat of a profound irony, I guess, too, and I didn't realize it until after the fact. But when we lectured at the Hanover Tavern Paracon this weekend, past weekend was the anniversary of the day that my mom passed. And I did get a recording Friday night when we were in our room when we were using the DRV for a little bit that we heard it's Mom, hi Lourdes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh wow!
So I haven't even a chance to cut that one yet. This one was just before that, a few days, I guess, give or take. I think it was the 17th, and so we had asked for her, and essentially the short version of the description is: it sounds like somebody is telling her that we're asking questions and asking for her.
Oh wow! All right, let's listen to that. Here we go.
If my mom and grandmother can hear, can you say Florence and Lucy?
Just mind blowing.
That's very cool.
Absolutely incredible.
Crazy.
And
It is crazy.
what's crazy is if you listen to the tonality of the voice, it almost seems like they're going, "Hey, Florence," you know, like they're turning away from you, yelling for her.
That's how I took it.
Yeah,
right. Like they were letting her know, trying to get her attention.
Yeah.
Let her know that's absolutely incredible. Just mind blowing.
Yeah,
It comes from Florence. Yeah,
it's if it's what we believe it is, and at least the fact that we can believe that's what we think it is. It's one of those profound moments that we talked about with my next book, Digital Seance Initiative, talks about giving people those moments of closure, the solace, the reconnection they feel maybe with someone they lost. So, you know, we've had enough of those things, including the one we played before it, to at least stir the pot to the point I go, well, you know, I think I'm making contact with her. I think, you know, she may have come through.
You know, and I just have to ask this because just to put it into perspective, but you say you think you heard, "Hey, Florence," and then the next set of words were, let's face it, no one's going to deny that's what's said. You can clearly hear it. The next set of words were, "It's your son." Do you have any brothers?
I have a sister, no brothers.
But not a brother. But not a
She has
brother.
a brother, no sisters. Yeah.
But you don't have a brother.
Right.
No, just you guys.
So, okay. That means that was you. She's talking about you. There is no other. "Hey, Florence, it's your son." That's you.
Yeah, that is him. That is him. But I take it as someone trying to get her.
Right.
Someone is trying to call her, get her. But they're talking about him.
They're talking about Ron to her,
I mean,
saying,
it's
"Hey,
relevant.
they're asking
That's right.
a question. It's your son."
Mm-hmm.
That's you.
Yeah.
It's like somebody answering a phone at a 70s party, going, "Hey, Florence, it's your kid."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
cool.
It
Just incredible.
It was cool when I heard it. You know, it's exciting for us to hear that. Every so often, it's nice. Like I said, if we get one of those little nuggets of closure or solace that we try to provide other people when we take this stuff out on the road.
Yeah. Yeah. So Carol wants to know, does it sound like her voice to you?
There's one that I have, and then the one we played before, I think could be her voice. The first one, when the drunken me one, But and I said that for Audra lovingly. But that one I don't think is her voice, and I think what Chris said and Tony said and Lourdes said, I think that's how I took it. You know, because we were interpreting. I'm not seeing anything. It was just audible, but I took it as the same way as like somebody going, "Hey, you know."
Yeah.
Calling her.
So not her calling herself. Somebody was calling her, telling her that we were here asking questions and
right
trying to connect with her.
But yeah, the timing and relevance front, which I know Tony hammers down as much as I do, it's covered on that. I mean, it's
oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's about as covered as you can get.
And we've talked about it in the past, all the times that, I mean, for as many years as all of us have been investigating, eventually the spirits get comfortable enough with you, they start to communicate. Eventually, come to the phone. You just got to keep trying. Yep.
Yeah. True.
Did we play the 2 in a row?
We
no?
did. Yeah, the mom Lucy one, and then that one with the 2 in a row. And we have one more after whenever.
Yeah, we'll rearrange them so now they're in order. All right, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the next one we got is us again at the Trivet Clinic.
The next 2 that we have.
This is really cool because there was when we were down in the basement the first time, I was picking up. I think we've talked about this before. I told you there was an older gentleman standing at the back door, and I could see him, I could feel him. And we asked when the owners came by 2 hours later, they converted. I asked them who's the old guy that stands by the back door, and they said, "Hey, that's Walter." Well, the neat thing about this is I think we caught Walter in the basement when nobody else was down there. You can hear us standing upstairs talking. And I think Walter was a little.
Wow.
Damn StreamYard, it was louder than that.
Yeah, it was.
But you can hear it though. You can hear it.
I heard that.
Yeah, you can hear
it.
Well, the reason I think it's Walter is because on the normal recording, you could hear the old scratchy man voice. Mm-hmm. So I'll play it again real quick. If you want to turn your volumes way up, you can hear it. It sounds like an old man with the old scratchy man voice. And we're upstairs, and apparently Audra and Cherie were having a party. And you can hear Audra laughing, but he didn't like it. I'll play it again. Turn your volume way up and listen to this one here again. Here we go.
Yeah, it's definitely there. No doubt about it.
Quiet.
Too much noise, you people.
Down here trying to rest in peace, damn it.
Yeah, right.
Well, and what's neat about, and like I said, I haven't done the first floor review yet, and I've only done one section of the second floor review. What's neat about this place is it started out as a hospital/clinic. There was a dentist office in the basement, which was Dr. Trivick's brother. And then it eventually turned into an old folks home and a treatment center. So picking up older people and all this other, there was a lot of activity in this building for so many years, and then it sat empty for a while. So it was pretty cool.
That's
Chris,
awesome.
Wouldn't you say at this point, I mean, this is just from an observational point of view, because we watch a lot of each other's evidence on the show. Wouldn't you say that you see developing in the collection of your data, of your work, some kind of trending where you seem to have EVPs in many cases that correlate to the location and its history? They're not just random EVPs, get out, shut up, go away, which everybody at some point probably gets. But they're always, I mean, a lot of them seem to be on this through line that is linked to the place that you're at, and whatever, sometimes a lot of the history that you sometimes I know you've looked up and found that correlates to them. That's a lot of EVPs that tie into the actual through line or the thread that goes back into places' history. Yeah, and honestly, you know, you see Ron and Lourdes and Tony and Cherie, they take they've got the metaphysical portion of it, especially Lourdes does, and then Tony and Cherie, that you guys lean towards the technical portion of it, to where when we go to an investigation, the reason I do my walk around is because we connect. Even though I'm data driven and fact based, mind of my situational awareness and my law enforcement training, and I've been an ops manager for
Couple
of years now. I'm not going to give away my age, but it's old. That's the part I struggle with. But when we get on site, we actually start connecting with the history of the location. And I can tell you guys, most of the time where most people say it's important to know the history of your location before you go in. I know what it was when I walk in. When somebody has 3 pages of this is the history and this is the hot spots, I'll go, no, I'll read that later. So I can tie it in with our review. But for the most part, the reason I do my walkthrough is so we can metaphysically connect with the location. We know what it was, and it's the energy of the areas. I mean, I've said this 1,000 times on the show. I don't put my devices in the areas that everybody else goes. This is where the hot spots are. That's why I do the walkthrough. I touch base with the energy. I know that it used to be a hospital. I didn't know until we got there that night that it was an assisted living facility is what we call it now. We used to call it old folks home. But so a lot of the correlation is us connecting with it metaphysically and with the energy of the location. And it does. It tends to tie in. It ties in, like Ron said, it correlates with the history of the location. But I can
a lot.
Honestly, and I can honestly tell you that that's by chance. We don't. It's not on purpose by any means.
Yeah, and you know what? As energy can go ahead.
No, I said thank you for saying that. That was neat.
I mean, it's something it's if people watch the show regularly, I think they would notice that too. That there's a lot of correlation to the locations. And you know what? As far as the hotspot thing goes, too, a lot of times we link it to the same structure of how it's defined, like even within ufology, but with energy being something that can change and shift, you can have variations, and not to mention the fact that the operators and the very people who are there are part of that. You may be part of an influence of what the hotspots are at the time that you're there. So not all the hotspots may be X marks the spot for activity. That can change sometimes. That might be why some people go to Eastern State and get amazing evidence, and we went, and it was like a night at bingo that nobody won. Like it was just
That's true.
So
I would have to agree with you 100% on that, Ron, because how many times, Tony, did we do an investigation at the Ajo Hospital, the old Phelps Dodge Hospital? Once in a while when I knew where we would get a lot of responses, that's where I'd place my recorders. But 9 times out of 10, I was dropping my recorders in different spots.
Yeah.
And we had been to that place hundreds of times.
Till he found a spot that he found an interest in, and that's where he'd leave it. You usually get good stuff too. You usually get great stuff.
Yep.
yeah, well, that's just a little observation. It seems that it's an inordinate amount of times that your stuff ties into something historically with the location, and that's really cool because that's corroboration right there.
Yeah,
and that's where I struggle with my database, fact-based driven mindset. On top of the metaphysical portion that we deal with when we do investigations, that's where I struggle. Like I said, you will never ever hear me. I'll tell you I'm sensitive, but I'll never sit here and go, I'm a medium. You know what I mean? I could do all kinds of different things. I'll never tell you that because I'm in a constant battle with myself between fact, fake, and fiction. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay, that's funny.
Chris dropping the recorder, dropping the mic. Yo. They went Def Jam on us.
Dropping the mouse.
CHP, yo. HP, Holte Power. That's funny. That was funny.
That's awesome.
So what do
Good to see him back in the saddle. Into humor.
For Tony, we have Untitled.
Okay, let me think what this one is. Oh, okay. So this is another old one. This again was a private home investigation. We were called out and asked to see if we could figure out what was going on. But I wanted to show this because this is the original, what we called the EVOX. So this was prior to the Prevox, prior to the EVOX 2. There is still white noise you can hear, but there were some interesting responses. And I think And I believe this version of it was still using an input device, which was the SP7. But you will hear the diminished white noise sound, but you'll still hear it there, and then the clarity of the responses. So go ahead and play that.
So this is the one after the one I have in my closet over here.
This was there are probably about 10 in between, but this was the first sort of version of what we call the Evox 2.0 today.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Please tell me your name. Do you hear that? He said, why, Tony? Because I want to know. If I know you're friendly and I know you're not going to hurt anybody or the kids, I'm not going to do anything. If I don't know that, we may force you out. Tell me who you are, please. I need to know this family is safe. Who are you? All right, if you're not going to answer, I'm going to assume you're in the house for no good. And if need be, I'm going to force you out. So I'm going to give you one last chance to answer. And I would suggest that you do. How many spirits are in this house? Why are you here?
That's good.
Wow.
What I found fun. Exactly. But what I found so interesting about it is now looking at what we're doing today and then going back and looking at something that was years and years ago, but it did encompass the white noise. You can hear it running underneath, but yet you're getting these very clear sounding vocals coming, using that probably as its white noise background to facilitate that voice. And when I saw that, I'm like, kind of replicates what we know today and are using today, which, can't even compete or completely blows away something like that. But the principles were there.
Yeah. And it's always, I think for us, I know for me, there's always a little place in the heart for the SB7, 11, like the stuff that when I first started, I was just completely enamored with. Like
Yeah,
that was my gateway drug into the ITC clinic.
Yeah, mine too.
How I got there.
Mine too.
Well, what's amazing about that is think what we were just talking about a little while ago with that wormhole effect.
Yeah.
Look how clear of messages you got. Now imagine if you'd have slowed that down back then and used the filters that you currently use today. How much did you actually catch in that?
That's
a good point.
It's a brilliant question. And Tony, think about it in this way too, because the sweep has variable speeds. So he's talking about slowing it down if you had done it back then. But if in any instance with a ghost box, a lot of times when you're slowing it down, you're slowing down the rate of the sweep, but the white noise remains at a constant with whatever vocals are fragmented along the sweep. That's not changed. And if that's the part that they're using, then in fact,
should be the same, that there'd be fast vocals in there you wouldn't hear. So yeah, that's a great point, Chris.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right,
something about a nice, smooth, sweeping, clean. That's why I love the whole tape boxes off the Maynard stuff. When it has like a clean, crisp, kind of like crackly pop, where like fluid kind of a sweet to it.
Yeah.
I listening. It's almost calming to me. People go shut that, and especially the SB7s.
Yeah.
But
well, and it also makes you think too that you guys use that constant white noise generator now that you guys filter out, and it's a constant, so you're getting much more clearer messages. To where the SB7 doing that sweep, it's constantly interrupting. How much of those messages was it breaking up when it was constantly sweeping?
Well, and then the other thought process is that since we can get full sentences, full conversation out of a white noise generator, that means that the radio stations that are within those stations do absolutely nothing. And in fact, in my mind, almost become interrupters of the white noise and the speech patterns. So,
right.
Yeah.
A distraction. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a reimagining of a concept that is, branded with ITC. They're almost inseparable, on a wide scale. But that is a possibility, at least from what we're finding is that, and you would explain it even with where the voices come in within the sweep.
Yeah, the stochastic resonance. And where if they're coming in a higher frequency, they may sound above that sweep. And if they're coming in a lower frequency and they resonate with that frequency, it's underneath. So that's what I think.
And that's a fantastic point, because anyone who has listened repetitively to an SB7 or 11 knows that when they hear an actual spirit voice, it is above or below that tonal sound of whatever radio stations are coming in. They're not on the same level. They don't sound the same. They are above or below that range. You are absolutely correct.
That's right, because when we used to do investigations and we used to have, and like someone new, and they would hear something, oh, you heard that? I'm like, no, that was radio. Like you can tell when it's the radio. And I always heard a relevant response with timing. It was usually underneath or up or above. So, so I truly do believe I think we all believe that it's the white noise that they're using and not really necessarily the sweeping the voices on the radio station.
That's my theory today. Whether it holds up in the next 5 years, we'll see. But yeah, that's my theory today.
Yeah.
So it also kicks in the butt all those skeptics saying that, no, you're picking up, and we've talked about this before, the chances of you picking up a whole phrase from those intermediate radio stations that it touches base on as it sweeps,
right?
You have a better chance of winning the Powerball, right? We've talked about that in the past.
Yeah.
But what you guys are doing today also kicks them in the butt, saying, okay, if it's generated from the white noise, then there's no possibility at all it's coming from the radio stations, and the radio stations are actually hindering the messages from coming through. So
right. Which leaves them with the only card left to play being pareidolia, that you're hearing things wrong. But at the rate that the paranormal community, doing ghost boxes, direct radio, or anything else, at the rate of evidence capture and review and the abundance of stuff that we're listening to, if our biological tools were that flawed, we wouldn't be able to function in life. We wouldn't be able to hold a job, function in public, have a relationship. You'd be going into your boss's office and he would go, listen, you're fired. You go, what? A raise? Okay, pareidolia.
No, but it's true. Right. Especially if you have like a whole room and the whole room heard the same thing. You're going to tell me that was mass pareidolia? Like,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right. In fact, in the concept of consciousness being involved, consciousness being mind, like collective morphic resonance, the whole big thing is like a huge stream, and our subjective experiences are our little whirlpools, our little individual realms of where our experience is. And some of the data that comes down the stream can fragment off and go into our different experiences. This is why we'll all see the red car the same way, or we'll all experience a certain sound the same way. This is from study of consciousness. So I would say to that point, that's another example of you can't have that much everybody in sync, everybody having the same subjective experience and not have, but you're going to say at the same time that the faultiness is also happening in a singular fashion within everybody's individual subjective experience. We're all having the same flaw at the same time in the same instance.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I would
no
say
way.
no.
No way.
That would have been like all 5 of us saying the name of our show wrong at the beginning instead of just.
Pissed off.
All right, here we go. Hanover courtroom.
So this one, I'll give you a brief setup. It was an amazing place. There were like 4 or 5 different locations, buildings on site. We got to set up in the one. We chose not to cycle through because we wanted to set up and do our thing. I was on the judge's seat table in the front of the courtroom. We were running a second speaker in the back of the room. We had microphones on top of the sound bar because it was so cavernous. We were losing the sound quality. It was bouncing all over the place. And this was interesting, was that the court was known for a lot of the cases were not criminal or violent, but a lot of them had to do with financial situations. And to speak to the use of mobile apps, and I've said before that I don't think there's any one magical app that connects you to the other side of the veil, but if they're manipulating and able to control or do stuff with electronics, and I think what they're doing with apps is they're manipulating or working with the phone. And if one of the parts of the equation is an app that has capability to present or form words, perhaps that's tied into the fact they're manipulating the device. So a young lady was asking questions, you'll hear, and she was asking it because she was getting terminology that had to do with finance on one of the apps on her phone. And she showed me the list, and a few of the words on there had to do with finance. She started asking questions about it, and the answers came in sync with that.
All right.
Wow.
Here we go.
So I'm getting a lot of words about finance or trust, settling paper. Are you here with the matter of money?
Yes.
Did somebody screw you over bad? Did that cost you your life?
Yes.
Were you hung for that?
I love how in the courtroom in the first words it says "for the record."
I know.
Wow.
I asked about this. I'm a court reporter, and I told them, and we heard court reporter in there, and we got a couple of things. We thought there's pictures all over.
Oh, yeah.
We thought that they were judges. That's what we thought. So we're asking which judge. What's the name of this judge? What's the name of this judge? So later on, I see the fine print. I was like, oh, these are not all judges. They're like, the county clerk and whatever. Later on, we're listening and we're asking the questions, and you hear someone say, they're not judges. I was like, oh, yeah,
Wow.
It was crazy.
We pointed at like 3 or 4 different pictures of these portraits on the wall and asked if they could tell us who it was. And we got the first name of at least 3 or 4 of them.
We got the names. Yeah. Some of them.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
But we were calling them judges, and they weren't judges. They were, a district attorney, they had judges, but it wasn't just judges.
And then really cool, it happened organically. Steve Dills of Transcend Paranormal has a nickname for his friend Chris. And he wrote it down on a piece of paper, and then we put the paper face up on top of the judge's table. Everybody else was away from there. So the only people who saw it were Steve and me. And it came out when he asked for it. A voice came through and said it 2 times.
Twice. Ron asked for it a second time, and then it came out again. It was crazy. We didn't find those, so we just sent the ones that we found. But we'll see it one of these.
That was literally Saturday night. That was a night. That was a night ago. So I was the almost falling asleep in front of the computer doing stuff guy. Also trying to get that one done.
Yeah.
That's so
What
cool.
an amazing.
That was great, though. That was,
It was
awesome.
crazy. Yep.
So intelligent. I mean, you just there's no denying you're speaking with disembodied intelligence, consciousness. I mean, there's no two ways around it. There's just not.
Another thing we forgot.
But
I asked if you identify yourself. Are you astral or ethereal?
oh yeah.
Quick, astral. Like it was such an immediate response.
I was trying to find that one right away. I'll find it for the next time we do a show like this. Everybody in the room went.
Everybody in the room was like, "Holy crap!" And then I tried to do a different group because there was, it was three groups or four
groups go through.
So another group came in, and I asked the same question, and this time I got ethereal clear. I was like, "Oh, it was just crazy." It was crazy. It was crazy.
The astral was immediate and it was clear with tonality. And everybody gasped. Like,
everybody was like, "What?"
I jumped off the stool I was sitting on. I was like, "What was that?"
The next time.
But the astral would almost explain that wormhole effect that you're getting, where the speech is sped up. Those two would play together. Yeah.
It was so immediate too, like immediate. Like if they're in the room with us, astral. I was like, "Oh."
Of all the different places and times we've done direct radio voice and we've asked the question if they were ethereal or astral, I would say the multitude of answers probably came through said astral.
Yeah. This is the first time we got ethereal. The first time. Right? We never got that.
Maybe once or twice before, but by and large, mostly the other way.
Interesting.
Cool.
Okay, we've got one last clip. This is
Trivia clinic.
The Trivia Clinic in the basement.
Oh, that place was a treasure trove.
Oh, and I haven't even gone through 2 floors of audio yet. This is just the basement. And this is just the Class A's that I got going through them this weekend. This one, nobody was in the basement. We weren't outside because when we were outside, you could actually hear us in the background. On the second floor, or in the first floor, you could hear us moving around. You could hear us talking like the last clip. And then this one, we were on the second floor. And I believe at this time, we were all 3 upstairs sitting in one of the rooms doing an EVP session. And we caught this, and you can hear there's nothing going on, and there's a pretty loud voice.
This is the one you and I debated on.
Yeah. So tell us what you guys hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
One more time.
Yeah, you have to play it again.
I think it's saying a name. Here we go.
Okay.
It kind of, to me, sounds like move.
Move.
Play it again. I'm sorry, play it again.
I hear move, or it kind of sounds like moo, but I don't think they'd be saying that unless they're mimicking cows. But
so what's really interesting is listen to the echo effect. I think this would have been audible if we were down there, because you can hear the echo from the basement. There you go.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, the echo almost makes it a little bit harder to figure out what it is.
So I think it's saying amazing. And Audra thinks it's saying amazing.
Who votes for move?
Who votes for move?
It kind of sounds like that too.
Jody's creating spiritual cow pareidolia.
Moo.
Oh my God.
But that was pretty loud. That was
the female.
And it echoes, so it adds some.
So it makes me think it was an audible disembodied that we just weren't there to hear, that it was picked up by the recorder.
I believe you would have heard it in the moment if you were down.
I agree with that. It does kind of sound like that.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
Chair being moved across the floor.
So would you guys say
hear
it's a
the
chair
vibration
moving
in it.
on the wood floor?
Possibly.
The floor was concrete.
Depends on the bottom of the leg.
Yeah,
And you know what? It wouldn't sound like that if it's concrete.
No.
It wouldn't sound like that.
To me, it sounds like a female voice. Yeah. But hey, this is why we debate it, right? Either way, there was nobody
Hold
freaking.
on, I just want to give props to Carol.
Tony, that is not moo.
I said one of the other.
You did.
I said move, and then it kind of sounds like moo.
Chris Nuara just said we need to call the Winchesters from Supernatural up to settle this.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
No. But Chris just got the last Netflix promo of the night without us getting a paycheck.
He sure did.
Funny.
That's funny. All right, there is way, guys, we like to, at the end of the show, go through and thank all of you guys for joining us, but there's so many of you joining us more and more every week that we love you all, but man, we'd be on the show for another hour and a half if we went through and named y'all off. But we do love you guys, and we thank you for joining.
Yes,
There's a move.
appreciate it.
That's what it was. That or Walter farted. One of the two. I just can't wait to find what we hear from the second and third and first floor. That's
first and second.
Yeah.
Be fun.
That was pretty cool.
That's a lot.
Tony, what's coming up next week? What was that, Ron?
It's a lot in one location.
Yeah, just the basement alone. I can't imagine what else I'm going to grab out of this.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Those are the fun reviews, man. Is when they just start popping off like that. Those are fun. Hi, Michelle.
Michelle.
Hey, Michelle, what's
up? Chris Noir, disembodied moo.
That's right.
Chris is funny. And apparently, at one time, Trivia Clinic was also a dairy.
That's right.
All right, what you got coming up, Tony?
Coming up for
before next week.
Do anything?
Work, more work, and then I'm going to work on the little project I'm working on, and then more work.
Oh, okay.
That sounds like fun.
Lourdes has a secret. Lourdes has a secret.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's about to not be a secret.
What do you guys got coming up?
Yeah, I was saying we're gonna be on Our Haunted Lives podcast on Paraflix. I think tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think tomorrow will be on that. That's what we have going on.
Is it the 26th?
The 25th. Isn't tomorrow the 25th?
Tomorrow's the 24th.
Oh, well, the 25th. And what else is going on? You had the.
What are we doing in February? Doing anything in February? Not really, right?
No, just the Hoover House.
Hoover House, yes. We're going to the Hoover House.
But we were talking about this
with
week.
Pam and Steve Barry. This weekend coming up, I don't think we have anything.
I think we just have that.
We're going to clean our house.
That's what we did this weekend too. That was no fun.
Aren't you guys on Anthony's and
Yeah, Thursday night we'll be on
Oh, that's right.
Elixirs with Anthony and Maureen Grzinski.
Yep.
Anthony
Yeah, I think Cherie and I are on the week after you guys.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
Very cool. So
Yes,
you're on that. The show's on Thursday, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this from
Okay, good.
7:30 to 9:30 Eastern time. So we'll be on.
Okay. And then you guys are on the following week.
If I can get home in time, yes. I told Anthony I might be 10 minutes late because I'll literally be running from the driveway. But other than that,
I'm sure he appreciates it. You guys are all going to do it, though. We talk to him all the time, and he loves you guys. If you guys
he's
come
great.
around this way, he'll want to hang out all the time.
Yeah,
it's in our plans, and we'll know more by end of this week. So we'll see what happens.
You guys you should. I'm telling you, when you get there and you're a guest, and right in the middle, you should go, I don't know where I am. You should do that to him, because that would be funny.
I almost submitted that as one of my evidence clips.
That would
I
have
almost submitted that. I almost submitted it as one of my evidence clips tonight, so we could show it to everybody. Because we were we were crying, laughing in bed, and we would rewind it, and it was like getting knocked out all over again. We just couldn't stop. It was like an addiction. We would play it, laugh, laugh.
And we had to get up early. I'm like, Ron, stop doing it. And I was like, play it again.
Yeah, I wish you would have submitted it. That would have been hilarious.
Anthony just said, "Forget about it."
Forget about it. I could say we should have done it for a share screen or something. It's so funny.
That's funny. All right, guys. Well, we will be back same time, same channel, same network. Sorry, same people. Maybe next week I can get the name of the show right.
And I'll try to have my wife stop working overtime so she can actually participate.
I know we miss her.
It's not the same. She was on fire with jokes last time.
Oh my God, she was so
she was funny last time.
And she was kicking Tony's ass?
Always.
Always. So we love coming on. We love talking to all y'all. We love having guests on and showing their evidence. But guys, we love it more when we get to show ours. No offense. And the reason we do is so you guys know that we are just not a podcast that brings people on and talk about it. That all of us have been doing this for so long that it's now a part of our blood. It's a part of our passion. It's a part of who we are. And we actually do go out and do the work. We actually do go out, earn our stripes still. Even though we do this podcast every week, we're still out there in the grind, in the dirt, staying haunted. We'll see you guys next week.
Oh, he snuck it in.
I did. Good night. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Can you give me a name? What's your name?